Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I got your story titled, Am I the A-hole for exposing my friend's girlfriend's lie? And a shout to Donnie for sending in this story. And guys, this story is a little different than what we normally have here. In this story, guess who the hero is? The girl. Yes, a gal here is helping a guy friend of hers get out of some serious trouble that his girlfriend put him in by exposing that his girlfriend's lying to him and trying to baby trap him. Yes, and even better yet, guess what this girl, who's the hero here, does for a living? She's a nurse. As I live and breathe, the hero is a girl and a nurse. But she's doing a great service to a friend of hers, so I'm going to cover this story. And in this story, her friend of hers got together with this girl. He's a real shy guy, obviously not a lot of experience with women, but got himself a girlfriend. And guess what? Suddenly, not long after, she gets pregnant. And of course says it's his. And he's believing this. And the gal here, the nurse in the story, obviously connected the dots, works at the same hospital where this girl would go for ultrasounds and things like that, and realized that she was scamming this guy. And she's here helping save the guy. But you're going to see in this story, guys, aside from the entertainment value and the shock factor saying, holy crap, the hero is the girl and a nurse, important lessons, two major ones. Number one, guess what? Newsflash, if you're new, there are women out there that will deliberately lie to a man who they see as a better candidate to raise their kid if they get pregnant and think their current boyfriend or hookup isn't very good daddy material. In other words, watch out. And how, yes, many will use guys who ordinarily they wouldn't give the time of day to because they need that nice guy, that provider, that white knight. Be careful. And I might add, that if you're not the type of guy who girls previously paid a lot of attention to, but all of a sudden one's giving you a whole lot of attention, there could be a reason for that. You must be careful. And also, number two, the old darned if you do, darned if you don't. Whenever you find out something's happened to one of your friends, you obviously want to tell that friend. But it could be a situation where that friend could resent you for telling him or her the truth. But in my opinion, you should always do the right thing and tell them the truth. And we'll get more into that later. Anyhow, long intro, but I had to say that. So, starts off, says here, I, a 27-year-old female, and my friend, a 22-year-old male, were discussing crazy things we figured out over the years, and while we were talking, I told him about a time I exposed a huge lie. That caused my friend to break up with his girlfriend. My friend, who I told the story to, said that I was a big a-hole for butting into someone else's business and into somebody else's relationship. This all came about because our girl here, who is a hero, is having a discussion with a 22-year-old guy, and he says she's the bad guy for exposing this. Well, this so-called friend of hers should stop being a friend. He's a moron. I told my friend that I did it to protect my friend and that I wasn't an a-hole. Even after my friend persisted that I was an a-hole and that it wasn't my business, I still disagreed. Good for you, girl. Stick to your guns. And you were in the right. But ever since I told my friend this story, I started wondering if actually I was the a-hole. The situation happened a few years ago, and I honestly haven't thought much about it since it happened before now. One of the guys, who we will call Conrad, got into a relationship with this girl we will call Leah. When our friend group learned about it, we were really excited for him and was very supportive. For context, Conrad is a very introverted and shy guy who gets very nervous around girls. It took almost a year before he was comfortable around me and stopped getting nervous. So I'm picturing like Raj Koothrappali from The Big Bang Theory. When the show started, Raj could never talk to any girl. That's what I'm picturing here. It's Raj. He is that kind of guy who you would describe as a sweaty gamer. So when we learned he got into a relationship, we were all kind of surprised, but very happy for him. We all wanted to meet her and schedule a hangout with everyone. Unfortunately for me, I was unable to attend because I was called at work at the hospital. When I got home from work that day, my at the time boyfriend had gotten back from the hangout. I asked what she was like, and he simply said he didn't like her. I also learned that the rest of the friend group also didn't like her either. But when I asked them why, they couldn't give me a specific reason. In other words, she just had a presence, a quality about her that their gut told them something's wrong with this chick. I ignored what they said because I hadn't met her yet. I like to form my own opinions and not get influenced by other people. Well, good for her. Always listen to other people, but I'm like that too. I give people a clean slate, regardless of what I hear, or mostly, until I can make up my own mind about them. I knew that friend group were already planning this year's Halloween party and that Conrad and Leah would be there, so I was excited to meet Leah. Well, a week goes by and the Halloween party is happening that night, and I'm finally going to meet Leah. No, nothing noteworthy happened at the Halloween party. Leah seemed really nice, but I couldn't shake the feeling something was off about her. Aha. Now, was this because she already was influenced by this? Whether she realized it or not, I don't know, but clearly something's off with Leah. I was worried that maybe I felt like something was off about her due to my friend's opinions about her, but I wanted to give her a chance, so I tried to shake that feeling away. A few days after the Halloween party, I ended up meeting Leah once again. This time I learned that Leah had a kid from a previous relationship, but whenever I asked about her child, she would always try to divert or completely change the subject. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. She had a kid, but said past tense had a kid. What happened to the kid? Same feeling as usual that I had from the Halloween party started creeping in. Like there was something off about her, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was exactly. Well, another week passes by, and Conrad and Leah have officially been together for 4 weeks, when Conrad announces to the friend group that Leah is pregnant with his child. Good Lord Almighty. Sure. We were all pretty shocked, but we tried to be supportive, although some of the guys in the friend group wanted Leah to terminate the pregnancy. During this time, Conrad and Leah started hanging out a lot more with me and my boyfriend at the time. Leah would talk about her pregnancy and how excited she was, and you could tell that Conrad was excited too. I was excited too for them up until Leah started sharing more details about her pregnancy. Okay, remember this gal's a nurse, so you're not going to fool her about some of these things. Leah knew I worked at the hospital as a nurse, but she didn't know that my department's specialty was gynecology and that I worked with patients up to 18 weeks of pregnancy. As I mentioned before, Conrad and Leah had only been together for 4 weeks when she found she was pregnant. The first time I hung out with Leah and Conrad after the news broke was almost a week later. She told me she found out that she was pregnant when she, by chance, had to go to the emergency room due to an infection. She then proceeded to tell me that they did the ultrasound. This really stuck out to me, but I just pretended that it didn't. They did an ultrasound because she had an infection. I know what kind of infection she had. We can all joke about that. Well, I asked her about the ultrasound, and she showed me a picture of the sonogram and boasted about the baby's heartbeat. My alarm bells went off, but I didn't want to say anything just yet. I asked her if she knew how far along she was, and she said 3 weeks. So a nurse is going to be able to look at the ultrasound and say, there ain't no way this baby on this ultrasound is 3 weeks. That baby's more like 2 months or 3 months, which would not match up the timeline, and you all get the point. She also told me that she got pregnant even though she had an IUD and that the doctors didn't want to remove the device. For those who work in healthcare, and especially gynecology, you'll know exactly why my alarms went off. Usually for ultrasounds, they don't do it until you're at least 5 weeks along, at least in my country. This is due to the fact that they don't usually find a heartbeat before the earliest at 5 weeks. Another thing is that if you have an IUD and pregnancy is detected early. The doctors will usually remove it and cause the IUD can lead to complications later in the pregnancy. Right after Leah and Conrad leaves, I immediately turn to my boyfriend and tell him that I don't think the baby is Conrad's. We both discussed whether or not we should tell Conrad, but we decided initially not to say anything, because it was still early and we tried to make excuses that maybe Leah would got the wrong info or she misunderstood what the doctors told her. No, they're trying to be extremely benefit of the doubt situation here for their friend here, but come on here. Her gut told her something was wrong, and listen to your gut. Leah's full of crap. What's going on, boys and girls, if you haven't connected the dots here, is Leah got together with Conrad, the super shy, nice guy who literally was like Raj from Big Bang Theory early on, can't talk to girls, found a sure thing nice guy, and I'm pregnant 4 weeks after we started dating. Obviously, it's not Conrad's kid, but Conrad's more than happy, did not even think twice about this, because he's got a girlfriend and a girl that pays attention to him with a kid on the way. This is what they do. So time passes by, and Leah is approximately 12 weeks pregnant, and myself and my boyfriend at the time still hadn't said anything to Conrad, mainly because we didn't want to create any drama in case I was wrong in my suspicions. In the weeks in between, we had learned that Leah's previous child didn't live with his father, but was actually taken away by Child Protective Services, which only raised me and my boyfriend's suspicions of her. There you go. Well, one evening, Leah and Conrad comes over to hang out with me and my boyfriend, and Leah is again boasting about her pregnancy. She shows me an app that tracks her pregnancy and how big the baby was at the time. When she showed me the app, I noticed up in one of the corners of the app that the week it displayed, it said week 16, which she should have been week 12. Shocker. So in other words, she was a month pregnant, give or take, found out about it. Whoever knocked her up ain't father material, ain't provider material. She immediately found Conrad, and you connect the dots. I didn't say anything to her, but I feel more confident in my suspicions. I decided to ask her when her screening is. I'm not sure if it's called screening in English, blah, 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 blah. And she tells me that she already did her screening. I was now 100% certain that the baby was not Conrad's. The screening doesn't take place before the 18th week, which is why my department only worked with pregnancies up until the 18th week, before they are transferred to the birthing department. Right after they leave that evening, I tell my boyfriend that we need to tell Conrad that the baby isn't his. I tell him all the things that she told me that evening, and my boyfriend reveals that Conrad hasn't told him that he's never been to any of the ultrasounds because Leah didn't want him there. This just gets crazier and crazier. Of course she doesn't want him there, because if he has a brain and can do math, he can connect the fucking dots here. They got to tell this guy. But the problem is that now he's been with her for like 12 weeks. Every day he's with her and thinks this is his kid, the more invested he is with her and the baby, and it's going to be harder for him to accept reality. Well, we immediately tell Conrad that he has to meet us without Leah. Conrad is a bit reluctant, but he does meet us. We tell him everything about the ultrasound, the heartbeat, IUD, the screening. Conrad immediately starts yelling at us, saying that we are making it up, and he storms off. Smack to Conrad. They're doing him a favor. Now most of us should know what's going on here. Conrad obviously doesn't get a lot of attention from women. This is probably his first serious girlfriend. And now he thinks he's probably in love with his child on the way, and is now hearing that this is proven by a medical professional that she's lying to him. He doesn't want to hear this, hence the denial and lashing out. This is the damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't tell him, he's raising somebody else's kid, he's getting screwed over here. If you do tell him, he blames you and is mad at you. But you always got to tell him. But this guy needs to pull his head out of his ass and realize this chick is being a friend to him. He starts yelling at us, blah, 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 and storms off. He blocks us everywhere. Leah blocks me on all social media, and we don't hear anything from them for a while. Well, he's acting like a fucking baby, but you know what? This woman here did her part. She tried. He's acting like this, then okay. Well, during this time, me and my boyfriend decided to tell the friend group everything, and they side with us and tried to convince Conrad to at least take a paternity test when the baby's born. Conrad cuts most of the people in our friend group off, and we don't hear from him for several weeks. See? All these people that have been Conrad's friend for obviously a vastly longer time than he's known Leah, boom, he's cutting them all off for some chick he recently just met. Because he doesn't want to hear it. And a lot of guys are like this. I think almost 2 months passed by before Conrad finally reaches out to me. He tells me he's broken up with Leah, but he doesn't want to talk about it. Well, good, he broke up with her. Gee, I wonder why he broke up with her. Big surprise there. He slowly joins back in the friend group, and another month goes by before he tells us that the baby wasn't his. Gee, you think, Conrad? I think we had this conversation. I sure hope Conrad gives her a big freaking apology, and all the friends there that he'd blocked and had nothing to do with. I'd be lining up a big group. Everybody gets to smack Conrad. After me and my boyfriend told him that we didn't believe the baby was his, he was first in denial, but started noticing that something was a bit off. He still hadn't gone to one of the ultrasounds because Leah always made it uncomfortable if he went inside. It wasn't until a checkup that Leah had a month after that we had our conversation with Conrad when he demanded to come to her ultrasound. She reluctantly let him go. He found out that she was further along in her pregnancy. Well, finally he got some balls. It takes a few more months before Conrad tells us what truly had happened. Leah was already pregnant when she met Conrad. Leah's ex had unalived himself after Leah had told him that she was pregnant, again, and Leah didn't know what to do because her first child had already been taken away by Child Protective Services. When she met Conrad, she decided to pretend that she got pregnant by him in hopes that it would prevent Child Protective Services from taking her baby away. There you go. And I might add, have him as the daddy and provide. Every time. Leah told everyone that her due date was in June. She gave birth to a baby girl in early March. So am I the a-hole for exposing Leah's lie? No. No, honey, you're a hero. You're a great girl. And Conrad should be thanking you big time instead of just like, I don't want to talk about it, like some jackass. But anyhow, there you go, guys. The hero's the nurse. Who would have thought? And this 22-year-old that she was having this conversation with said she's a villain. I think it's time to cut this person out of your life because he's a freaking moron. Maybe he had a sister or acted like this way. I don't know. But regardless, no, he's a moron. Nothing to do with her. Now, I'll read a few comments or wrap up this story. One guy says, not the a-hole. You saved your friend from one of the cruelest and most heinous frauds that can be perpetuated against another person. I can't believe that your current friend is calling you an a-hole for exposing this. Can you imagine if he said nothing and Conrad didn't find out until years later? Right, Conrad will be in the birth certificate. He thinks it's his child, and, well, you know how that story ends. That Leah person is a monster, and your friends are all probably picked up immediately on the vibe that she was just using him. Sweaty gamer guy reels of the exact kind of desperate person a woman like Leah would take advantage of. You're a good friend and you did the right thing. Your friend is an idiot for being upset with you for looking out for Conrad. Exactly. And one more. Says, you were not the a-hole. You saved Conrad from years of pain, unhappiness, and after his relationship with Leah broke down, having to pay child support for a child that was not his. And as she has seen her first child taken away by CPS, it's highly likely that this would be the fate of the second child, unless Conrad stepped up to raise a child which wasn't his, and he didn't know it wasn't his. So there you go, guys. Moral of the story is, I strongly believe if you got to tell, you're a good friend or a family member, you're going to tell them something they need to hear. But be prepared that you could, like in the story, have that individual be mad at you, cut you off, but at least you do your part. And again, guys, I know it's hard to hear, and if you're new here, but guess what? If you were never given a lot of attention by girls when you're young, and all of a sudden you get to be in your 20s, maybe you got some resources, you got a job, stuff like that, but nothing's changed about you in terms of your level of being attractive and stuff like that, and all of a sudden girls suddenly paying massive attention to you, there's probably a reason behind that. I know you watch the movies, and the movies say that the shy, dorky guy will get the girl in the end and blah, blah, blah. And in an element, there's truth to that because they're being used. But it isn't because she loves you. So be careful. That's all I got to say. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.